Christmas Eve, 2021. It's been a hell of a year. And I thought I'd take a moment to reflect on the year and talk a little bit about next year. And also wish each and every one of you Merry Christmas. Today's Friday. So tomorrow is not only the weekend, it's also Christmas Day. Families coming in from Wyoming, and hopefully we'll have a great time together. So this year we saw a lot. The crypto markets really came alive, the NFT revolution. We saw DeFi go crazy. It went from, I think, 10 billion in market cap to 100. We saw $10.5 billion worth of loss in DeFi because of scams and bad software and all kinds of problems. We saw yet another year of COVID madness where the world continued to linger in being shut down. Goalposts continue to be moved. We all got vaccinated in the US, and that doesn't count. Still have to do everything we did in 2020. So it's been tough. It's been incredible. It's been great. It's been terrible. It's been everything in between. Opened up the Hoskinson Center for Formal Mathematics over at Carnegie Mellon. I was on Lex Friedman podcast. The awareness of Cardano grew exponentially. We had a great event in September. That was a lot of fun. Over 100,000 people attended the Cardano Summit. And predictions, some of which came true, some of which did not. So there was a tweet from 2020 where I said, I predict by this time next year, we'll have thousands of dApps and hundreds of assets on Cardano. And I got it wrong in both directions. So on the asset side, over 2 million assets have been issued on Cardano. Not 2,000, but 2 million, the vast majority of which are NFTs. And on the dApp side, because it took a little longer to get Goguen out, we have yet to see significant traction there. But right now, there's 127 projects actively writing code with the intent to deploy something, a dApp on Cardano, of which we know of at least 20 or 30 that are going to be launching within the next 90 days, from Sunday to many other things. So that's taking a little bit more time. However, the quality is there, and there's no shortage of developers. There's a developer Discord. I think the last number I was given, over 10,000 of them. With the Plutus Pioneer program, we trained thousands of people, and more to come. Next year, we're going to run that program aggressively. My goal is to get it onto a 2-month cadence and do 6 classes a year and make that an indefinite thing. Next year, we're also planning on really building and shoring up the institutions that hold up Cardano. So there are 3 custodial companies that were around since the beginning, the Foundation, Emergo, and IO. And there's a huge orbit of other companies that come and go and do specific work. Next year, what's going to happen is that a formal open source project structure is going to be formed, kind of like Hyperledger to Linux. And we're going to see many institutions wired in, and all the people that are currently working on will be novated over, including me. There's a punch list of things. When you remodel a house or something like that, you always have a list of stuff to clean up and do. And that's really what we're doing in 2022. When you look at things like enhancing Plutus, there's already 3 CIPs as a result of the work we've done with developers that need to come in. We have pipelining that needs to come in, input endorsers that needs to come in. Peer-to-peer is currently being tested with the stake pool operators on the test net, and there's lots of stuff happening there. A huge amount of optimizations are coming with Cardano node 1.3.3, 50% reduction in sync time for Daedalus. How about that? And memory utilization way down because of a lot of optimizations that we've done. We've been working very closely with Gawa, and we're starting to turn over lots of Haskell libraries and other pieces of infrastructure to them with the explicit aim for optimization. We started with correctness as our highest priority. And now that correctness has been achieved, we're moving over to performance tuning, optimization, usability, and these factors. And that is a game of rapid iteration. You do a little bit, you get a huge advantage, as we've seen with Node 1.3.3. Mithril is coming next year, and that's going to really push us aggressively into the light client space and also give us best-in-class full nodes. Hydra is coming next year as well. That's purring away on a great schedule. We have a lot of great publications that are going to be hitting in February, thanks to the whole Eurocrypt crypto CCS block. We're staging things appropriately, and we're starting to see a refinement of the science of things. So the adoption's there, the community's there. We've grown to about 2 million people, and looking at dataless downloads, social metrics, and a litany of other things. And what's exciting is that the velocity of scale is now here. If you look at how Catalyst is operating and how every round we just see incredible growth, you look at the fact that this huge open source project is awakening, which will be eventually on par with what we see with Linux, with 800 companies, 800 developers and 100 companies. And the fact that we just have the resources as an ecosystem to get this done in the long term is extraordinary. But in 2014, I did a TED Talk, and I was a man with a mission. It's kind of funny. People write books and people write blog posts, and they say all kinds of just batshit crazy stuff about me, my intentions, my history in the space, Cardano, the project, and so forth. It's not really a reflection of me at this point. It's more of a reflection of them, how they think and their incentives. I've always been with you guys straight and honest. And I told you back in 2014 what I was going to do. Going to go out there and we're going to figure out how to build a financial operating system for the world. We told you how we're going to do it. You're going to do it with peer review and formal methods. And we told you what it would take. It's going to be a long, arduous, systematic march, day by day by day. It's not sexy. It's not defined by surprise announcements. It's not defined by sudden partnerships and burns and all these other gimmicks that the space has. It's defined by just good old-fashioned hard work. That's what we said in 2014, which was, by the way, batshit crazy. It's just me and a few adherents that were crazy enough to believe it was possible. Now we look at the end of 2021 and there's 2 million people, billions of dollars, an ecosystem, a huge movement, 127 dApps, projects building. The one I am most excited for is the relationship with Possession. So my goal is the second half of 2022 to figure out how to put all the pieces together to get an end-to-end microfinance transaction on Cardano. Real person in Kenya or somewhere, the blockchain-based identity and credit score, stablecoin on the other side, Cardano is the settlement rail, peer-to-peer, person-to-person, click a button, loan goes to them, they pay it back, goes to the other side. Right now, if you look at microfinance, the interest rates are 35 to 80% with a 40% default rate. Possession is doing great. They're about 3% per month, which is 36% per annum because they usually repay monthly. And the default rate is 2%. The NPL rate is 2%. So that spigot, once it turns on, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to run anything. Greed will compel people to get involved with it. And, there's two consequences to that. One is that the interest rates go down because of competition. They have to. There's an oversupply of capital relative to the people. The other is that we've completely circumvented the banking system in Africa, which is at times tremendously predatory and it enables some of the worst people alive to stay in power. And it's permissionless. Can't shut it off once that's happened. And it opens up 1,000 conversations. What's a good identity? What's a good credit score? What other products and services should exist in the RealFi space in Africa? And how do we spread this across all of Africa? Not just be Kenya, but be Nigeria, and Ghana, and Rwanda, Uganda, all across Africa. That's the dream. And in 2014, it was a slide deck at a TED Talk. But we're here now. And 2022, all the infrastructure is in place to make that happen. Mithril, Hydra, pipelining, input endorsers. You take a look at the identity system. Prism continues to evolve at a rapid pace. Light wallet infrastructure, the partnerships. We did the Africa tour, went to 6 countries in 4 weeks. Met heads of state, met heads of major companies, built great relationships, and it was the culmination of 4 years of effort on the ground. Not easy years. They were years filled with hostility, misunderstandings, food poisoning, on some cases a monthly basis, poor logistics, oftentimes difficult communication, coups, attempted coups, civil war, disease, all kinds of things, horrors. And the heroes that stood the line, they got it done. They built a reality where what we said we were going to do in 2014 can now be done. And that legitimizes not just Cardano and the concept of DeFi, but to be frank, our industry as a whole. We have a pretty big check we wrote as an industry. If you look at the valuation, $2 trillion, you look at the statements, the books, the articles, the blog posts, the videos, the courses, they all say the same thing. Change the world, change everything, reimagine everything. Decentralization. And that's what we were promised. And what did we get? Pictures of rocks that sell for $1 million. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Networks that purport to be centralized, but when they stop working, somebody kicks them to restart them. But hey, great returns, right? So yeah, just keep doing that. And billions of dollars of losses because of incompetence and malice, willful theft and criminal conduct, and a mentality that it's better to be first than best. That is a pretty big check that we've written as an industry, and we haven't cashed it. Somebody has to. So we're going to do that as a project. And then everybody else will come flooding in. Competition will come in. And then it's over. Because it doesn't matter who wins. Because we win. Humanity wins. The people win. We set this whole thing up as an industry to do better. To live in a more fair world, a more equal world. We did this as an industry so that we together don't have to pessimistically, cynically accept what has been given to us. That is the rally cry. Just do better. Don't accept mediocrity. Don't accept evil. Don't embrace it. Don't tolerate it. Speak up against it. Don't accept hypocrisy. Don't accept lies. Don't accept the status quo. Every single thing around all of you was constructed by people who are no brighter than you, no more special than you, no more powerful than you. You consent to the things around you, the laws around you, the social customs around you, the way people treat you and you treat them. It's all consent-based at the end of the rainbow. Sometimes your consent is coerced through fear, through psychological manipulation, through threats of criminality. But every now and then, a society has to stand up, and it has to say we've had enough. If COVID taught us anything, it taught us that the human race is amazingly capable of lying to each other, of building structure upon structure of deception. And it doesn't matter where your politics fall or what you think about it. You can be on one side or the other side or all sides. Every single one of you has gotten some trauma from this event. And you've seen how bad things could get. So we have this tool. It's not a good tool. It's not a bad tool. Blockchain, cryptocurrency. And we just have to decide, how are we going to use it? Where are we going to use it? And I caution every single person going into 2022, our success as an industry will be tested. It has to be, because if we succeed, we will change the power structures of humanity itself. There's going to be lots of scrutiny, misinformation, lies, and other things told by the legacy system. We already see it. We see people in the Congress, we see people in transnational bodies say that the only use and utility of cryptocurrencies is money laundering, child pornography, evading sanctions, all kinds of negative conduct and consequences. But yet they never mention all the good things. The fact that we can transform and change people's lives, give them economic agency that they lack. They never mention that the legacy system takes 3 billion people and casts them into perpetual poverty. They don't mention that. They don't mention that the legacy system enables the wealthy and powerful to work with the very criminal elements they purport to want to destroy and suffer no criminality. They get away with it. And when we expose that, it's very inconvenient, very uncomfortable for them. But you cannot perpetuate a lie forever. And you have to ask yourself, how stable are institutions and structures that are built on a house of cards? They may have lofty titles. They may have legacy and history, some cases stretching back centuries, if not thousands of years. But if the core is hollow and the foundations are corrupted, corroded, cracked, decaying, then all you need is a little bit of a push. And that's effectively what we are collectively doing as an industry. We're giving the human race a little bit of a push. Not a big one, but enough. Enough to see what's on the inside of these institutions, how the sausage is made. The entire American population saw with the infrastructure bill how legislation is actually written, how everyone can agree, the vast majority, a supermajority of the Senate and the Congress, that there was harm in a bill, but only one person was necessary to allow that harm to push through. And people responded, that's just how Washington works. It's bipartisan in that respect. And it's your decision coming into 2022. Do you accept that? Is that the world you want to live in? Or in your own way, are you going to give it just a little bit of a push? Not a lot, but just a little. The Cardano project, we thought a lot about resiliency, ran a lot of scenarios down. There's a very good reason why Satoshi left. And for that reason alone, it's why Bitcoin is so strong. You see, it's so easy in society to put somebody at the top and say that person's the leader. And then you can centralize all of your criticism and attacks and personify the effort according to the person at the top. Don't like Catholicism? Well, attack the Pope. That's a good starting point. Pretty good assault. And equivalently, for corporations, protocols, ideologies, you always try to attack the person at the top. If there's no one at the top, then you have a much harder task in front of you, which is you have to attack the philosophy, the merits. You have to argue against what we stand for. And how can you argue against liberty and freedom? How can you argue against the desire for equality and for people to be treated fairly? How can you argue against applying innovation towards making people's lives better? Global markets where each and every person is respected. There aren't double standards. There isn't cynicism. There isn't this attitude of, well, that's just the way it's done. There aren't special actors who get to go in through the back door while we all have to wait in line in the front door. How can you argue against that? What are you going to argue? Technical merits? How do you argue against hundreds of papers written with the same science that has given us the modern world? How do you argue against an open source project that has no face? You can't. So the attempt will always be to personify, to demonize. And each and every project in the cryptocurrency space has already been tested. The leadership of each and every project has been attacked. Look at Twitter and what they do. Look at the media and what they do. And that's why it's so pivotal that we continue the relentless march towards building a proper open source project. It's our biggest challenge next year. You want fast delivery. You want high quality code. At the same time, you want resilience, decentralization, facelessness. These things often are at odds with each other. Inclusivity slows you down because you have to wait for everybody to speak. Inclusivity also means that some people participating will lead you astray and down roads that are confusing and in many cases actually harm the project. Yet somehow you have to have an immune system to take the good with the bad, because that is the only way. There are almost 15 companies working on Cardano right now across the world. Sun never sets on the project. We need to make that hundreds and then eventually thousands. We need institutions like universities and nation states to actively cooperate and collaborate and have a stake in the success of this project if we truly intend on transforming the world. But you cannot have a mentality that Charles Hoskinson is going to sit up on an ivory tower and figure it out. I do what I can. I'll endow institutions just like I did the Hoskinson Center. In that case, it was for the field of mathematics. But more will come specifically for Cardano, from standards to science. We'll collaborate and work with best-in-class open source organizations. We'll open up a checkbook and cut checks for tens of millions of dollars if necessary. And we'll continue funding our developers to do our part. But if you really want the world I preach, you preach, you have to give it a bit of a push. Get your own communities involved. Could be the county council. Could be a small city. Could be your company. If you're a software company, assign an engineer to the open source project. If he doesn't know how to do it, we can find a way to train him or her. Get it done. If you have the means, build a project on Cardano. Showcase the power of decentralization. If you're an educator, teach about it. That's how I got started in the cryptocurrency space. Created a little class called Bitcoin or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Crypto, because I like Peter Sellers, Dr. Strangelove. Do the same. Cardano or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Crypto. Each and every one of you has a part to play in what's to come. And if we work together, we'll get it done together. Now, I'm committed. I can't get out. I burnt my ships a long time ago. This is how I want to live, and this is what I want to build. And I know at least how to do my part. I know how to build great protocols, and we have a great company, 600 people in it, and we're damn committed too. We have fun doing these things. It's an enjoyable step-by-step process. And we're starting to figure out that whole work-life balance thing. Even took a week off to go meditate in the mountains. Wow, how about that? And we'll just keep at it. And I'm sure the foundation will as well. They're hungry. And Emergo and DC Spark and Twig and Well-Typed and Runtime Verification and QVic and the rest of the gang. So many now. And now what's so encouraging is we're reinvigorated by the wave of 127 projects launching on Cardano. Each and every one of them cares about our protocol. Each and every one of them cares about the vision, the mission, the dreams. And each and every one matters. And some of them will grow to be just as large as my company. And they'll be able to carry the load too. That's real decentralization. And how do you bet against that? I oftentimes see all these people blabbering away into the wind. Deaf idiots. Can't even hear the moronic voices that they shout at with about how we must do it now. First mover advantage. It must happen now. If you don't get adoption today, right here in this particular way, or burn tokens in this particular way. By the way, the tokens are all distributed. Who the fuck would we burn? You'd have to steal money from people. I hear them babbling into the wind day in and day out, not understanding that if this is to be successful, you must follow the path we're following. Inclusivity, debate, decentralization, solid foundations where the rug doesn't get pulled from you again and again. caring a lot about quality, caring a lot about making sure everyone moves together. And when people come, seeing if they leave or stay. That is how you build something special. And that's how you're around in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or 25 years. And that's what I signed up for. That's what we told everybody the Cardano project was all about. And a lot of you signed up for that too. So when we look to that 127, that's another one of the pushes. They're going to need some help too. Some of them are going to need some marketing help. Some of them are going to need some help with technology. Some of them are going to need some help with strategy. Some of them are going to need some help, if anything, emotional support. A lot of you send me emails and letters and pictures, and I really appreciate that. A lot of you wish me well and tell me, don't let the turkeys get you down. Stay strong. And I really appreciate that. I do. Please continue. It helps. But every single one of these project founders that are now the first cohort coming on Cardano and turning on, they're going to go through great struggles. They're going to suffer intense criticism. They're going to suffer ridicule. They're going to have tech that doesn't work, timelines that are not met. They need a helping hand too. They need emotional support too. They need your well wishes too. In many cases, more so than me. So make sure to include them too in your thoughts, prayers, and communications, and work with them if you can. Participate in Catalyst if you can. All the time people come to me and say, how do I get started with Cardano? It's real easy. Catalyst. Just that simple. Learn about Idea Scale. Go there and see how vibrant the community is. It's bizarre that Silicon Valley, these VCs that purport to be so attuned with the next big thing and where growth is, haven't even heard about Catalyst. We tell them, they go on and they see it and they say, wow, there's actually people here. Wow, look at all these messages. Look at all these debates, these conversations. And these are all different people. You didn't have to pay for these. They just came. They just showed up. My Lord, there's something here. They're amazed because they too, just like you and me, they're not any brighter, not any more special, and they're, of course, susceptible to groupthink. And they have inflicted upon the world this philosophy of move fast and break things, forgetting that the world was built by the opposite philosophy, slow and steady, with honesty and integrity. So 2022 is going to be a hell of a year. In many respects, it's going to be the best, and in many respects, it's going to be the toughest. There's going to be a lot of hits, some from unpredictable places, because that's what happens. Welcome to crypto. Some from the usual suspects. But we're one big family now. We're all together in this. And we've seen the promised land together. And I want to get there. And I know we can. So we just have to keep the faith. We have to work together. And we have to support each other. Not just me, but everybody. And we have to look at each and every day as an opportunity to be even better than the day before. So Christmas is tomorrow. Many of you are with family and friends. Many of you are here to enjoy the holidays. And of course, we have New Year's coming up. And I want to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And I want to wish each and every one of you a pleasant New Year. Make this the best year of your life. Meditate more, lose some weight, be nicer to the people around you. And most importantly, ask yourself, what kind of a push can you do? Until next time, my friends, have a wonderful day. Cheers.